Welcome back to Make It Mondays, and it's time for a new blanket. And I found this really pretty yarn at the store. So I've got 3 of these cakes. When it's a round flat like this, it's a cake rather than a skein. And I am doing a fully knit blanket that is going to be a really pretty pattern stitch. But since it's not my pattern stitch, you're not going to get a chart or anything, sorry. But I am doing a very pretty blanket out of this. So let me get this all flipped around and I'll show you how it's working up. So here's the beginning of how the blanket's working up. So it is all just knit and purls. So some of it is reverse stockinette, some of it's stockinette, some of it's garter stitch. Again, not my pattern, so I can't share it here, but you can kind of figure out what's going on. I am using stitch markers to count rows just for convenience, but this is the right side, this is the wrong side. They're both still pretty. The big thing is I thought that those stripes would be a lot thicker than they were when I looked at the ball of yarn. So I was thinking that each stripe would be about that far. It's not. It's only like 2, maybe 3 rows. And then when compared to some of my other projects that you may or may not have seen, I am using stitch markers because this is a pattern that if you get lost, you're not going to do well. And I've had to rip out several sections fixing mistakes. I am still doing a slipped stitch on the edge, and then everything else just is working back. I am using slightly larger needles than I normally do. These are 9s. Normally I work on 6s, but this yarn is also slightly thicker than what I normally use, which also means this is knitting up super duper fast, which is really nice and a nice change of pace for me. So as you saw when I came to that stitch marker, I just pushed it across. Most likely those stitch markers will stay in place all the way through the project and only be removed when it is time to bind off at the very end. I did not do a border at the bottom, nor did I do a border on the sides. This is a full edge-to-edge pattern, partially because I didn't want to think and partially because this one actually works really well that way. So again, I'm just going to keep working all the way up. I will probably be back to show how the 2 balls of yarn join, because with these stripe patterns, I don't want to mess it up that much. I want to keep it being as even as it is. So I'll be back in just a bit. So here I am back at the end of the very first skein. This is how much I have of the next color in this skein, but since this is a very definite striped fabric, I don't want to mix up the stripes by knitting to the end of this, then picking up wherever the next ball starts. So I'm actually stopping right where the green comes in. I'm going to grab the next ball, and I've already pulled it out to where the green starts here. So I'm going to put those 2 strands so that they match as perfectly as possible side by side, and then work a couple of stitches with both strands of yarn. In this case, I'm actually going to work all the way until I'm back to a purl stitch, just so the yarn I'm not continuing with can sit on the back. And then I will work with just the 1 strand from the new skein. So I will end up trimming off both ends and then weaving them back along that same line for a little bit in a couple rows, just so that it's a little extra secure. But even if I was just to trim them where they are, they're secure enough. Maybe not for a blanket, but in general, they're secure enough. So I'm going to keep going. Again, I'm not going to be saying what the pattern is as I'm going, because not my pattern or not my stitch design. and where I found it from, I can't find credit to whose it is. So I've worked a little ways. This did come out to 81 rows, which is pretty dang good for a single skein of yarn. So let's see how far I get after 2 and then after 3. So be back in just a bit. And here's the final blanket. It is just smaller than 40 by 60, so it's still 40 across, just a little shy of 60 inches long. Perfect color and texture for a toddler. If you liked this video, please like it. Please hit the like and subscribe down below. I will see you next time on Make It Mondays. Bye.